Today's episode of Before 40 is brought to you by squashed liver for all your nutritional needs. So, today we are going to be talking about pets. It is essential for you to have a pet, I think, to learn how to deal with wee inside and poo and how to look after something that is not human. It teaches you empathy, sympathy, and responsibility. And I think it's very important for someone to have a pet in their life. So, this is my current one. There he is. This is Mojo. And he's been to the beach today. And he's had some treats. Knows that word. And he's had a bath. And he's looking very beautiful. He's almost 10. And he's a Cocker Spaniel, an English Cocker Spaniel, and you can tell that he's an English Cocker Spaniel because he's got a longer snout, a longer nose. Hey? You're a good boy. I'll tell you his story in a minute. Pets that we have had. First one. When I was born, my mum had a little dog, and his name was Peppy, and he was a poodle, and he didn't like me. I think once he even bit me, which was nice, but it's just fine, you know. When you're a poodle and you just live with a woman who dotes on you, you know, of course you're going to bite the thing that takes away her attention from you. I would. Like, seriously. Why wouldn't you? Anyway, so he was quite old when I was born, and he died before my second birthday, I think. So, yeah, and that was sad for Mum. The second pet we had was when we moved back to Tassie, and I was about 6 or 7, and we got a kitten. Gorgeous little thing, long haired tabby thing. Don't know where Mum got it from, but she's like, oh, fuck it, let's just get a cat. Let's just get it. She's a single mum with 2 daughters who are just, you know, whatever. She needs to shut us up. So she gets this cat, but she's ironing one evening, and this cat is, you know, batting around the bloody cord that is hanging down off the ironing board. And so she's like, oh, I ain't cat. So she gets it and she takes it outside and she puts it outside and then gets on with the ironing. About 2 hours later, she's like, oh shit, I put the cat outside, didn't I? He didn't survive the road, and the guy next door came out. I'll save the day. I'll help you, little lady. I've got a shovel. So he goes and gets his shovel and shovels our cat off the road. Yeah, so that was the end of that cat. I don't even think he got a name. I never knew it. So that was that cat. That's really bad. And then we moved to the country, and we inherited 2 dogs and a cat. And tell you about the cat first. This cat was a farm cat. Not allowed inside, was just out in the bush and in the paddocks and catching mice and catching rabbits all the time. And big thing, Big cat. Black and white, beautiful, shiny, lovely. But, you know, it was a big farm cat. And it was my stepdad's cat. And he called it Fluffy Bum. But he usually got called Puss. Just Puss. And whenever he needed feeding, it would be Puss, 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 Puss. At the back door, it'd come out, Puss, 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 Puss. My stepdad, like, Puss, 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 Puss. And this cat would get fed outside. And he'd always try and get inside, but like it would just run into the kitchen and just be like, what the, I don't know what else to do. And so we'd easily just be able to like pick him up and go, nope, outside. Thank you. And we used to hold him like front paws and back paws and play him like an accordion. He'd be fine with it for about a little about that, and then his tail would just start doing this. He's like, fuck you. So he'd be like, okay. Okay, we get the hint. Sorry. And we also inherited these 2 dogs. I'll tell you about the farm dog first. The farm dog was called Ding. Ding. And it was like, if you've ever seen that movie Red Dog, it was like that, but without the kind brown eyes. He had like the really sharp gold eyes that those red dogs have sometimes. And this dog was just on all the time. He needed to be like rounding up sheep all the time. And so eventually we had to get rid of him because he was just so bored. He was given away to one of the sheep farms, I think, up in the middle of Tassie. Anyway, Red Dog's gone. See you, Red Dog. And we're left with Gregor, who was, bless his heart, the most lumbering, gorgeous Labrador that you'd ever seen. He grew this huge cyst on his head. He was a big dog, and so he'd like lumber around and he'd cough like an old man. like he'd be like really dodgy. And even one time someone was at outside our house and thought it was actually someone, and they yelled out, "Oh mate, are you okay?" And it was just Gregor like Anyway, gorgeous dog, beautiful. Another story about Gregor, he used to take himself off. It's about 100 metres, 150 metres to the local shop just down the road. And he used to take himself off down the shop, down for a walk, have a bit of a sniff either side. And they used to give him the out-of-date pies. So he'd just get this like whole pie and then trot off back home again. Needless to say, you know, when you do that every day and you're a dog, you know, you end up being quite portly, I suppose you could say. So yes, that was Gregor. They both died of old age, which was good, I suppose. Yeah. And then we had a golden retriever. And we got him when he was a puppy from a dog breeder down here in Hobart. And he was beautiful from the time we got him. Gentle and lovely, and would just want to be near you. And unfortunately, he wasn't allowed inside. So he had, you know, really comfy kennels lined with what's called polystyrene and like old carpet and you know, insulated and, you know, really soft and warm. Old doonas Mum had put in there. he got cancer, which was not good. He got, I think it was lymphatic cancer. So at the very end, he couldn't actually lie, you know, like dogs do with their heads sort of tucked in. He had to lie with his arms out so he could actually breathe. The vet had to put him down, and I was in Melbourne, so I didn't see this. When the vet came down, Mum was there, and Benson, his name was. Benson. And when the vet came down, Benson got up and he was wagging his tail and went over to the vet, but pretty soon had to lie down and was in pain. Yeah, so he was in pain for a little bit of time. So the vet had to put him down, and he was on like his old doona, and he lay down on there and got the injection, and Mum said goodbye to him. And sorry, and I wasn't there. Sorry. Yeah, I wasn't there to say goodbye, so I think obviously it still affects me, and his grave is marked in our family home. Sorry. Yes, so then when I was in Melbourne, I was really missing having a pet, he's looking at me. He's like, what are you doing? Where are those treats? Oh, he knows where they are. You were so clever. You're a good boy. Anyway, when I was in Melbourne, I got when I was in Melbourne and I was living with my partner at the time, I decided that we were going to get a dog. But then, we broke up. But I was like, nah, I'm still going to get a dog. So, and I did. I sourced this breeder of Cocker Spaniels. They're sort of up in the hills in Melbourne. And so a couple of times I drove up and met him and held him when he was like this big. And I think, you know, the last time that I visited and had to go away, he knew my voice. That was really cool. His name was Macintosh, Mac. All in all, he was a really good dog, but he enjoyed the company of animals rather than people. And I probably wasn't, one, in the best frame of mind or in the best position to train him properly. He got angry whenever, you know, you tried to take something away from him. He bit me once when I was going to pat him, like I was invading his space, and so he actually bit me, which hurt. And then when I moved into a share house, the guy that I was sharing with had a big pit bull, and his name was Tank, and he was this big blue gorgeous thing who was just so gentle for such a big dog. He was really lovely to Mac, and so I was like, I'm moving back to Tassie, can Mac stay with you? And thank goodness that that Fletcher did take him on, because I don't know what would have happened. And then when I moved down here, I just happened to buy the trading post, as you do. You're just like, I'm going to buy the trading post. You're at the supermarket, I'm going to buy the trading post. Like, why? this is why, because there was, flipped over to the dogs livestock section, and there was golden cocker spaniel. I called her straight away. And anyway, when I saw him, he was outside. He'd never been let inside. He had a ratty old kennel. He was matted from neck to groin, right down his middle, just one big mat. I really wish I'd taken a photo of it, but needless to say, he was in bad shape. He was treading on his ear hair. He couldn't move his arms properly because of all the mats like underneath his arms. So I was like, you're coming with me, buddy. And so the next day, I think I got him, organised a clip straight away. So took him from his previous house to the clippers, to the beach. For his first visit, I kept him on the lead at the beach. Then took him home. I took some advice that I didn't really love at the time, but it was fine. I had a kennel outside and chained him up and let him inside. And so I got little Mojo. And he's been in my life for almost 10 years now. Isn't that crazy? Hey? That's pretty crazy. He's a pretty good dog. He doesn't sleep outside anymore. He sleeps under my covers when it's really cold. And so he should. Generally, he's really good. Like he's jumps up on people, but that's whatever. And that's my story about pets. If you are going to get a pet, and I do recommend you do, you need to make sure that they are part of the family. They're part of the family. They're not something to be discarded when they're too old. They're with you until they say goodbye. You should be there when they die. Otherwise, don't get one. If you don't want to be there for that, don't get one. Made me cry. Cry. Made me cry. And I won't pick him up again. He's too snuggly. I'll show you. Hang on. He's so snuggly. Hang on. He's so snug. He's so snuggly. Watch. Hello. What you doing? Hey? What you doing? Tuck it. You plumb tuck it out, ain't you? Hey?